Hi, everyone. So we're going to do part four of Betsy Ross and Paul Revere. And this will be the last one of this series of this look in deep dive. And I want to let you know it's probably one of the hardest ones because it was very difficult to get what type of communication that they were doing because it was such a lapse and a timeline jump of doing the Civil War with doing the Revolutionary War and then going back and forth with multiple things that you didn't understand, like how were they communicating. So she wants us to know that it really was intuitive based type of communication that they were doing, and it was a type of mediumship. It was a type of high frequency, high hurt communication. It was also something of, they said it was like a spiritual phenomena, but it wasn't. It's something that I've seen before when someone is so injured, when somebody had an in on them that you can't explain the type of way that they communicate. They really become highly psychic, highly telepathic, and highly sensitive to a lot of energy. And they communicate so fast, so fast. So she's leading me to the White Sage Tarot. She goes, you exactly got it, because I had something up my skirt. It was a flag. It was a way, and it was something to cause such intuitive balance for me. I was constantly imbalanced because of what happened. She's showing me a type of illness, like being sick. It was very difficult to get through the day, almost a type of limp. I see her going at this at times, trying to get it out, almost a hold back. And people would look at her like you probably just saw right now. Um, it was it they thought like something was wrong with her. So they always had to have this balance. It was really hard. It really was hard. So that flag up the skirt per se was not dishonorable. It was something of a type of steel, and she was very sensitive to metals. And she said it would cause a lot of discontent because it was illegal per se. It was something very masculine that she would carry to balance her. I see, and I see the letter C. It was Five of Swords. The Five of Swords. It can't come out fast enough. And she's gonna let me act like her for a minute. Betsy Ross. You can't go it alone. No. And they would do this all the time. And they say, she earned it. She earned it. Impedent, highest degree. Not really. The imbalance. I'm just imbalanced. I'm not impeded. She really was alluding that she wasn't regressed. She wasn't hurt to the point she lost intelligence. It was so sad though. Yes, it was, but I still fight. And those are the ways that these individuals who got a lot of things done were that they had taken such a hit that they were psychic, visionary, and they had to go slow because they were hard, fast energy at you. They would stop communication so quick and revert it out. It is very much like Stephen Hawking. They literally live like alone a lot of times. The Six of Wands can't even stop enough of a lament. Now, she's bringing me in with Paul Revere at the North Church. And she said, mine was pertinence, but it was more lament what happened. And his was more pertinence related to pyrite. So the Seven of Cups, Paul Revere, just he likes to just stand and give energy. The Seven of Cups, my dear, comes in so short that when you actually take a drink, people feel your energy. That's how hard your energy is when you connect, when you had lament. So, lament is a type of crime that they go in on you and literally run through you like a ghost, like the mobs do. And they get it out of you like a thief, your gifts. And you retain the amp of that. And you have to go fight and get it back. It's a battle where pertinence, they put it into you and you must retain it to almost a devil like amp and do more gains. It's very hard to explain. The Nine of Wands shows that you have to watch it. The Ace of Pentacles says there was opportunity with those people with money because they could do anything and everything and something to nothing. But they chose a nil non niche, a nil non niche to do it because they were not going to be part of it because they had already seen and heard and felt that it was criminal like because they were assaulted. They recognized they were assaulted. It was non consented what was done to them. That is the completion of that cycle. So it was hard communication back and forth. And that is when a lot of disrupt between all these wars started happening. And they're showing me like this. It was a ticker talk on a take. And then that's when somebody would actually kind of go, oh my God, this is disgusting, disgusting. They hated that they talked like that. They hated that they communicated like that, but it got through pretty fast. I know from my experiences, there's just days I just can't talk. I just can't talk at all. So when I can't talk, it means I had already seen it as a psychic and I have already limited myself to stay within the limit of the law. That's all it means. All it means. That is where their strength was. It was their self-control. And that they literally could command with little training of military and healthcare, that it was reckless for them to be hired legally and lawfully. And that is where a lot of them smiled. They're like, this is where it's at. You couldn't even believe it. You couldn't even believe it. It took away opportunities. No, no. They said it does not take away opportunities from other people. It's just knowing when to go to them. It's just all it is. It's just remembering that they always done this every lifetime. They're showing me many people. So we're gonna go to the Literary Witches Oracle. She's leading me to that. So at first, their power was a bit of a trickery. They were really strong in power. Power for them is how they could execute their energy as fast as it could. Loss. So when they show me the loss card, she's showing me kind of like they were visiting patients and it was a loss. They could identify the loss and then they could find who had to give up the loss and who needed to have a loss. And a lot of times it was in mediumship. It really was. It that energy stayed within their house. It was something that wasn't new. It was very like someone who had lived in the house for a really long time. They had a hard time at times pacing themselves out. They were brave. They didn't care. They said, we don't care still, even to this day. That's why we're guarded like a fortress. The peacock shows how it all fans and blends out with the colors and the pictures and how those feathers are together to where they would get actually pretty grotesque. And it was humorous to test them. Now, they were aware of curses, spells, and hexes and how to break them and how to use them appropriately. And that is something that they say we don't care, but that's what we did because that's how it was back then. It truly is a transformation when you have to boil to that when you didn't have to. Now, with identity of this card, it changed people's viewpoint of how they operated, but they were always the first to be called upon when they needed something. And that was why it was fun. So, to end that stigma of anyone has ever lived through that, you literally just have to tread lightly. You just got to keep them that's what they will do. That's what they will do, but not necessarily. So in today's day, they really are not reached out to. They're usually left alone. They're usually left alone. And back then, it was so common, you couldn't even understand how much they were loved also at the same time back then. Now, as far as justice goes, they had to be creative because it was everywhere. It was everywhere, that type of crime, even down to a small animal. Like they would carry an animal with them. It was almost like a service animal. The tree, like they were very grounded to the earth, very grounded. They learned how to cut things out more ways than one. So that's why she's like, it wasn't odd for me to go do surgery with the doctors. I already knew how to do it. They were like intuitive geniuses. They were like savants, but not like a savant. They were slick doing something some days. And you have to say it brings back some memories. It brings back some memories of the current date and time of what have people have done. People have done. And he's showing me how Paul Revere is. He's like, I don't know. I don't know what they said. And he would freeze and he would freeze. He goes, that's where I had my freedom. And I would just go and I would run and I would run and it would be miles. And I'm like, okay, I got it out. What is it? The soul. I got it out of them. I got it out of the soul. I read it in the book. Where was the book? England. I heard it from the rabbit. It was really smart. And then all of a sudden they had like 16 to 20 people doing the same thing in various areas of the globe. They're like, what is going on with these people? And then they said, look at the tea. The tea settles us. It's the rennet and the relic and the tea and the cardamom. Yep. It actually settles them down. Uh, these were people who needed caffeine to settle down because they were so high amped. They were people who didn't do much work, but they did a lot of work at the same time, like only maybe 1 to 3 times a year. And they were able to sustain themselves. They're literally like, just look at the rope and look at the noose, and this they would connect and link so hard you couldn't figure it out. And that is why it was quite, I can't even explain the cat in this card. I can't even explain the cat. It's very interesting. So what he's actually showing, he goes, that was my energy. So he's withdrawing his energy away from me. And he goes, I would literally just go like a wave. And then he would come right back. And then she would be like a whirlwind. And then somebody else would come in like this. And that's how they got a lot of their stuff done in the Revolutionary War. With communication. They could see spirits, they could hear the spirits, they could hear in mediumship, they could speak to the dead, they could do anything and everything and something and nothing. So that's why they were conserved, they were preserved. And it meant that do the best that you can to keep them healthy and keep them running. And that's all it meant, all it meant. And how is that relevant to today? There's a lot of intuitive talk, a lot of intuitive talk, a lot of observancy. They're showing me that how it relates to today and how it's relevant is that when it comes through, you actually could hear it just as you are. You didn't have to be a psychic or a medium or anything like this when something is about to come through. You're like, yeah, I heard you. And nothing was upon you or within you. And that's all they want you to know. That's all they want you to know. They want me to end with the Pleiadian Oracle for this. So they said when they had dreams, that means that they were in backlog. They never had dreams, never had dreams. They were so like fast-minded that if they had a dream, that meant that something was not right. They were very aligned with the stars. They were very into astrology and astronomy. They definitely felt they had planetary guardians. They felt that they had guardian angels. They don't want to elude it. They definitely felt that they had like a star family. It was a feeling of remembrance. They said it's not uncommon today. It is not uncommon today. Imagination, they had high imagination per se, and that is what was written for them. They were able to actually use their energy to have a lot of like give out compassion. They definitely could speak light language, and they had some knowledge of what had happened prior. Their passions were different but similar, and they're showing me with the Native Americans, the grass, the earth, the dirt. It was studying earth science on how it would come about, futuristic science, to where they would look up and say, is it coming? Is it coming at? We had a dream. And then it would come in quickly as a glimpse. Somebody would do that, and they would say no, and it would actually change their vibration, and they didn't like that, and it would change their energy, and they're like impedance again. Yep. Uh, when it came to those crystalline grids, it meant move on for them. Their taking chances meant nothing. It meant nothing. As far as this card goes, it meant you couldn't do it enough. You just couldn't do it enough. Their loss truly was when only they could use this about themselves. They couldn't use their whole self. And that's where they figured out how to again regain everything of how we know this like super intelligence that these individuals had back in those eras, and how they got it done and how well respected they were. So with that being said, that's all they really want me to say, because they keep showing me no more. We don't want to talk anymore. We've shown enough of ourselves at this time. It still links to how Boston Harbor and the Tea Party were. It still links to a degree on how everything else with those wars up to Salem, Massachusetts, is to how it is current day when you talk about criminal activity and how individuals regain and compensate after something happens to them. So other than that, if you have any questions or concerns, email me and just let me know. But other than that, have a great day and talk to you soon.